So much of dreaming is envisaging the self in a form that may feel off limits in the real world. Dreaming can provide us with the inspiration and the courage to make those visions a reality. In this series, we strive to give life and energy to the delights and aspirations that we create in our dreams, to give them opportunity to flourish and thrive. Welcome to Dream Space from Factory International with me, Gemma Cairney. I'm a broadcaster, writer, and most importantly, a dreamer. I'm here to be your guide as we delve into the dream space of another brilliant creative thinker. This week, I'm joined by a writer, performer, and filmmaker whose work imagines new worlds in ways that are kaleidoscopic and multifaceted.
The rules of the world are queer, so you don't have to explain the queerness. No one's coming out. There's never any story in queerness. It's just like everyone is.
Amrou Al-Kadhi is a British-Iraqi writer, performer and filmmaker. Born in London in 1990, Amrou spent time growing up in Dubai and Bahrain before their family moved back to London. They studied history of art at Cambridge University, where experiencing a deficit of queer nights in the city, they founded the club night Denim. Amrou's drag queen alter ego, Glamrou, was born on the Denim stage, and since then they've graced myriad stages and performances that explore everything from the intersection of their queer and Muslim identity to their relationship with their mother. Amrou's 2020 memoir, Life as a Unicorn, A Journey from Shame to Pride and Everything in Between, won the Polari First Book Prize and tells the story of the author's fight to be true to themselves. In 2024, Amrou's film Layla was released. Written and directed by Amrou in their feature debut, the film tells the story of a struggling Arab drag queen whose confident facade hides their longing for love. Amrou, welcome to the Dream Space. My first question to you is, are you a dreamer?
Yes, I do dream all the time, but the older I get, it's a mixture of dreams and nightmares, really. I know too much now.
Do you think that there is too much information out there for us?
I mean, obviously it's really important that we know everything that's going on. It does feel like the world has been relentlessly bleak since 2016. I was actually talking about this with someone yesterday, how like in our 20s we were so optimistic and thought the world was going to be amazing and beautiful, and now we're just like, it's just a miracle to get through the week.
And I wonder whether a dream space, our imaginations, art and everything kind of in between is more important, but at the same time, sometimes I think it's kind of deemed by society as an indulgence. What do you think?
No, I think it's really important. It's like everyone's feeling so scared and broke and hopeless about what's happening politically as well, to show an alternative. I mean, I mostly work in film and TV, so it's really about providing hope and beauty on screen so that people have something to kind of aspire towards or just escape into. I don't know if it's like a political movement in and of itself that's going to cause social change, but I think it can cause some social healing.
In your making of the film Layla, you spoke about imagining the queer London of our dreams, one beyond the scope of what is possible. What was the genesis of that?
The film imagines that kind of London is just this like queer utopia with this incredible nightclub, which is huge for queer people of colour, and everyone lives in these gorgeous sort of womb-like cocoons, and everyone's wearing whatever they want whenever they want, and nobody bats an eyelid. You know, we were talking a lot about drag queens in the film as like a love letter to drag artists and the way they're able to sort of make anything from nothing. And that was the sort of task that I gave all my heads of department, in terms of just build a fantasy out of whatever is available. And so, you know, I think like drag queens are all about imagining something else. And that's what the film tried to do. It was like kind of a more empathetic view of the world. It's funny, I really changed creatively. Like my next film is really nightmarish.
I wonder what that is in terms of the swing of the pendulum of feeling like there's a truth in both extremes, you know, in the light and the shadow too.
I think definitely sometimes film is a place to dream and to imagine a world that you wish existed. And then sometimes it's a place to work out your trauma as an artist and change it into something beautiful on screen. Sometimes it's supposed to wake people up and scare them. I mean, it really depends what you want from cinema. Some really amazing film experiences I've had. You know, a film called Body Electric, which I watched in 2017. It's a queer Brazilian film. It's just pure queer joy and hope and beauty. And I cried when I watched it because I'd never just seen so much uncomplicated joy on screen before. And then sometimes you want to go to the cinema so you can scream or let out something. It depends what you want. I'm more in the rage place now, but I'm glad I made something hopeful.
In the catharsis that is this particular dream space, what sense do we experience as an audience? Is it visual, like your film work, or are you drawing upon something else?
For me, I tend to process things visually. Even if it's like sound coming in or texture, my brain will turn it into visuals. Like I just think in images. I really don't remember sense, or I'm not very musical. I did ketamine infusions when I was in LA, which a lot of people with depression can do. And with that, my eyes were closed and they were playing really sort of space-like music. But it was still a really visual experience because my brain tends to go into the stratosphere somewhere just psychedelic always visually when I'm trying to escape.
So if everything's allowed, perhaps we go through that portal that you experienced in these infusions. So it doesn't matter whether our eyes are open or closed. It's going to be something visual that we feel straight away. What can we see?
The texture of the space would be really kind of womb-like, and you're really like inside the cosmos, you know. It's sort of like your whole body being wrapped in like pinks and oranges and lovely teals of space matter. So it's almost like a blanket of like cosmic dust.
Sounds cozy.
I definitely think it doesn't feel like anything you would find on Earth. It really is like being inside space matter, but not in a scary way. It's like in a cocoon-like way.
And do we have a sense of togetherness? Are we side by side or is it solo?
So I don't think it's a solitary experience. I think everyone's bodies become one in a way, and you don't really have a fixed sense of yourself.
There's something quite transformative about that, becoming an organism. I mean, it's not even just human. If we're in the cosmos, we're just becoming part of the cosmos too, part of the universe.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
When you are in the real world and you are creating beautiful drag, when you are transforming your own actual body, is there any of this sensibility of escapism that informs that transformation?
I suppose, you know, whatever mood you're in when you're out of drag, whether it's if you have had a really bad day or you're really dealing with something, when you start to get into drag, you can basically do whatever you want. You know, you can place the eyebrow wherever you want. lipstick wherever you want. There's like a billion options that you can do in terms of color scheme or wig. So what I tend to find is if I have a drag show that night or one every night that week, whatever's going on in my day or in my life, you have an option to escape into whatever you choose that night. So I suppose there's a sort of limitlessness in terms of all the options are open before you kind of then start working on your face. So it's less of an escapism into kind of like nothingness, but it's more that there's this expansive possibility. Like you can choose whatever you want, which is really empowering.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about an escapism into deep visibility somehow. It's like being seen for that emotion that you are imbuing, which is very different to the portal that we were describing in the dream space, where you become sort of part of an atmosphere and in a way not seen. In this drag art and display, you can show how you feel in the abstract using your body.
Or you can hide how you're feeling. I mean, you can do whatever you want. So you can, let's say you're not feeling confident that day. You can wear a drag costume that pretends and acts like you're really hyper confident. Or let's say you maybe feel unattractive that week, or you got dumped or whatever. You can dress in a way that makes you feel really sensual or sexy. I mean, you can not just show how you feel, you can manipulate how people see you. You can hide as well. Not in a bad way, as in not in a kind of hiding yourself, but you can escape yourself. I mean, all the options are open. You are hypervisible when you're a drag queen, but you can choose what bits you want to make visible or what bits you want to hide or manipulate or whatever. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but there is a sense of escapism in that sense, yeah. Right,
back to the cosmos. We are here as one. We're formless, and the texture is womb-like. Is there any particular thing that happens, or are we kind of floating in the abyss?
It's euphoric, that's for sure. It kind of feels like a rave, I think. But like a very kind one. You see the dance floor and it's sort of everybody just trying to escape their body and their life for a while and just fuse with the room. There's nothing like sometimes, like especially if you're going through a hard time or you think the world's against you or whatever it is, like standing in a crowd of thousands of people and just being one of everybody, there's something really healing about that. It's why I sometimes think like being really famous must be so hard, because you never get to just sort of like have ego death in a way, because it's so about you being in the room, and there's nothing nicer sometimes than just disappearing. I mean, that's why I go partying sometimes. It's like I just want to become a soup for a bit and just escape my crazy brain, because I have so many sort of anxieties and the world is scary and my industry's falling apart and it's all really bad at the moment, and actually just being topless in a rave and just melting with everybody, I just love that. So yeah, I feel like it's maybe like a kind euphoric rave in there.
That's really beautiful, and thank you for sharing. I find myself wondering how we can create that soup-like feeling as a lifestyle. How do we bring that energy into the everyday?
God beats me. I suppose like we have pockets of it, like when we're all standing on the tube, but that's obviously like not euphoric and everyone's on their way to work and just depressed. I don't know how maybe talking to strangers or music on the tube so that you could just dance if you wanted.
That would be so nice. I would like that.
Maybe that could be good.
Back to the cosmos. We're melting. We're all together. I don't know why I feel sweat. Is it hot?
No, it's not too hot, but it's sweaty for sure, I think. In a nice way.
Yeah. I think sweating is great, especially in unison.
I agree.
Is everybody invited?
Interesting. I mean, I want to say yes just because I'm trying to get more comfortable in my life the older I get with people I disagree with or who I share differences with. Definitely in my 20s, I was very much like, man the barricades. This is just queers only and just people who, and I think that's really important, by the way, to have those sort of spaces. But I think obviously the world's so kind of angry at the moment and divided and everyone's a potential enemy, and I think that's made us all quite hypervigilant and paranoid and quite scared. So I'd like to think that because there's like a formlessness to this world, that identity goes out the window for a bit and you're not worried too much about what you are. You're just happy to just be with everyone. So I'd like to push myself to say that, everyone is welcome.
And are you a leader?
No. I want to be a follower. I don't know if there should be a leader. I think that's not allowed here.
No hierarchy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how in this space we can invite whoever wants to come on board to kind of confront their fears or push through. What do we do with this ever-pressing feeling of being scared of something?
I mean, obviously with a ketamine infusion, you have the help of medicine to just make you disappear. But yeah, it is scary. And actually, some people do have negative ketamine infusions. I've had one very negative one where it was just quite scary because that level of surrendering to nothingness is like overwhelming. It's like floating in a black hole. You're like, nothing exists, and you're like, it's really scary. But I think the great thing that ketamine infusions showed me was when you do surrender and you realize sort of how insignificant you are, when you just really see that you're just matter and your body belongs to the universe, is a bit humbling and also like kind of funny, because you're just like, whatever anxieties you have about yourself, when you surrender to how insignificant you are, it makes those worries seem absurd because they're so myopic. I think we all like to think we have some control over our lives, and it's really scary when you realize you don't. But maybe kind of liberating as well. I guess it's sort of about looking at lack of control as something that's quite freeing, but I really struggle with that as well.
Do we have sound at all? Do we have taste?
I don't think in taste, but definitely the sound can be really ambient and beautiful. Nothing too kind of intense, just very magical sounds, like a sound bath.
And how does time work?
I'd like to think that no one's thinking about time in there. No sense of time, maybe. Well, no sense of urgency.
Here we are in this cosmos and we're all kind of not feeling these consumerist 2025 ego feelings. We're just at one. Is there an emotion that permeates amongst us, or a range of emotions that work and float within us as an organism?
I mean, I'd like to think emotions that maybe you don't get to express every day. I think most people that I know find it really hard to cry or like laugh like a child or scream, those sort of like guttural type feelings that you maybe are not allowed to express in public. So I'd like to think it has a sort of orgiastic level of emotions where you can just cry like a baby, scream like a baby, laugh like a baby, and just sort of let it all out.
Some good exertion.
Exactly.
And not judged for it.
Not judged for it.
Do you think place is important? If we are floating in the cosmos, are we picking up energy of anywhere around our Earth? If we were this kind of floating matter, are we floating above any particular part of the world?
I've always thought of my geography as like in queerness, because it exists wherever you go and you can find people wherever you go. So I'm really like kind of agnostic about place in my life. I don't have any really attachments to places. I mean, obviously I love London and I live here, but I can kind of go anywhere now and just sort of find who I need. I think that's like kind of the gift of being queer.
When you were talking about the absurdity of it all, it made me think about what I love about my queer community, or my experiences of the queer community, and where I've always felt really welcome despite not being queer. And I was wondering where laughter comes into that. Like, laughter to me is so queer in a way, you know, in a way that it can be displayed and utilized in community, in being able to laugh at the most intense, hard, difficult subject matters. I find like such a kind of queer trait. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I do drag, and I like to think my drag shows are very funny, but they're kind of funny in like a sort of, I think, quite dark and uncomfortable way. I like to give audiences a place to laugh at things that they feel like they're not allowed to laugh about, you know, really traumatic things, but that are also still inherently funny. People often say they feel like uncomfortable in my drag shows because they laugh and then they're like, I don't know if I was supposed to laugh at that. I don't know, I like giving people catharsis. I think it's really important. I mean, laughter has been such a big part of all my work. There's just like a silliness to my work and a absurdity, especially like my drag shows, because I think also it's also about turning trauma into something that you can process through laughter. I think that's why drag queens are amazing. Like, in so much adversity, they still find the joy and the hope. It's just really joyful and silly. I often do process things through joy, but right now it's more of like a scary laughter.
And do you think that your identity or cultural heritage comes into that?
I'm quite interested in playing with what people think certain identities should be like. And laughter's a good way of doing that.
I'm wondering how we got here in terms of your reference points and inspirations. Are there particular artists that you've always revered that have helped inform the work that you make and perhaps the dream space that we've got to today?
I was always really interested in really late European surrealism. They did this exhibition, I think in the 1950s or maybe 1940s, and the exhibition space was like the artwork. Like, it was shaped like a womb, it pulsated, you know, you had to crawl your way through. Everything had a really interesting texture. You got to eat off people's bodies. It was about returning to those kind of primal instincts. And really, actually, throughout the late 20th century, like, there's been so many interesting collective installations. Paul Tech did a lot of really interesting ones in the 1960s. And actually, those had like raw meat hanging everywhere, just so that people were really getting out of their heads and sort of like being reminded that they were like a body. Like, I love Yayoi Kusima's light rooms, the infinity rooms, where you just sort of lose yourself. I love all that. In terms of my film work, Almodovar has always been a reference. He's just really good at creating queer universes. You know, florists are drag queens are having sex with nuns, and you don't question any of it. I kind of wanted to do that in Layla, and also all my work where basically the rules of the world are queer, so you don't have to explain the queerness. No one's coming out. There's never any story in queerness. It's just like everyone is. Yeah.
Really beautiful. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time, your mind, your imagination, and also your work. I feel very inspired, but also I want to celebrate you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I honestly, from my heart, feel so lucky to make the Dream Space because I get to speak to such a beautiful, eclectic selection of people. Amrou is an exact example of that. Somebody who really is working within different spaces, from drag to film to TV, and then took us into a psychedelic infusion portal where hierarchy doesn't exist and we can just be one. Wow. I really enjoyed that and I would like to go there sometime again. I'm Gemma Cairney. Thank you for listening. Join us again next time to explore another brilliant thinker's dream space. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast and share it with whoever is in your chosen community because your support really does make a difference. If you can't wait until the next episode, then you can head to Factory International's website to find more creative content on Factory Plus. And if this is your first taste of Dream Space and its universe, thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you back here next time, but why not treat yourself before that to some quality dreaming with one of our previous episodes. There's so many, and they're all like a big old trip. Dream Space was hosted by me, Gemma Cairney, and this episode was produced by Hugh Sheehan, with sound design by Solomon King and music by Carmel Smickersgill and Andrew P.M. Hunt. The executive producer is Dan Jackson. It's a reduced listening production for Factory International, curated by Scott Simoniti and Alex Mannion-Jones. Until next time.